Hello, late starters. It's your host, Andrea Vall, and I am here with Dr. Mary Barbera. She is amazing, you guys. You are going to love her. She is super inspirational. She has changed careers several times over the decades and started in the online marketing space in the autism world in 2015 at the age of 50. Her website's marybarbera.com, and she does, I don't even know how she does everything she does with her time. She's got a podcast, she's got books, she's spoken all over the world. She is got courses, tons of courses. She is a master online marketer as well. That's the thing that is just amazing about Dr. Barbera. So welcome, Mary.
Thank you, Andrea. It's great to be here.
Yeah, it's I'm excited. We have so many things, so many ways we can go with this interview. So I just want to start with a little bit of your story and how you got started in the autism world. It was for sure not by choice. You you got started, and you have an amazing story about what you did about it. I love that too.
Yeah. So I say I fell, quote unquote, into the autism world back in 1999 when my firstborn son, Lucas, was diagnosed with autism one day before he was 3. But I actually fell into the autism world after he was 1. He started to regress, show signs of autism. I didn't see it. I was pregnant with my second son. My husband, who's a physician, first mentioned the possibility of autism when Lucas was just 21 months of age. I told him he didn't have it, even though I had no idea what it looked like in a toddler,
Mhm.
and that I never ever wanted to hear the word autism again.
Mhm.
So, like a good husband, he didn't bring it up for months or maybe a year
Mhm.
later.
Mhm.
And it was confusing because this is
Yeah.
way before any social media. We
Yeah.
were barely on AOL, barely
Mhm.
searching the web. Um, and the rate of autism was 1 in 500, approximately. Now it's 1 in 36, with 1
Mhm.
in every 6 children having some kind of developmental delay or disorder.
Mhm.
So now it's super common. But back then I was very overwhelmed. I went into a deep state of denial for over a year. And then when Lucas was finally diagnosed the day before he was 3, it was, I mean, it's never too late, but we
Mhm. Mhm.
certainly could have made a lot more progress had we got on it and started looking into it a lot sooner. So we
Right.
wasted, because of my denial, um, about 15 months. My husband first noticed the signs at 21 months, or he first brought it up. And
Mhm.
then Lucas really didn't get into good, high quality treatment until 39 months.
Mhm.
Although he got speech therapy. He went to
Yeah.
typical toddler preschool. It's not like he sat in a closet. I mean, and his
Right.
symptoms didn't look that bad, but
Mhm.
he remains very impaired, needs 24/7 care. He's turning 27 soon. And in the process, once I found out it was autism and moderate severe autism, and was felt more guilty. Then
Mhm.
I went from being a master's prepared nurse, I was a nurse manager, and doing research in the nursing field and presenting in the nursing field. I went from that to uh, founding the Autism Society in my county. And I also went into litigation to get better services for Lucas. And
Mhm.
in the process, my lawyer told me to become a behavior analyst. I was like, what's that? It was a new certification. So then I became a board certified behavior analyst, one of the first, 1,000 around the world. And then after that, a couple years later, it was like people were coming to me like, tell me what to do. I have a child
Yeah.
that just got diagnosed. And I was like, I don't have 40 hours to sit here and tell you what to do. It's all in my
Right.
head. And then I wrote my first book in 2007. I can't do math on air, especially, but I think I
Yeah.
was about 40 when I wrote my first
Mhm.
book. And it really put me on the map. It's in 17 languages. I traveled around the
Wow.
world speaking about autism. I worked for a big project through the Pennsylvania public school system. I was the lead behavior analyst for that. So I've like moved, from nurse, mom,
Yeah.
overwhelmed, behavior analyst, advocate, author. And then in 2011, I decided, well, in 2006, I went back for my PhD in leadership. And people, when I graduated in 2011, they said, well, what are you going to do now? And are you going to teach in college? And I'm like, no, I'm not teaching in college. I'm going to try to get my message out online. Again,
Yeah.
it was early.
Yeah.
Um, and it took me a few years finding different people, some
Right.
people that your audience knows. Brendan
Yep.
Bouchard, The Millionaire Messenger was one of the first books. Amy Porterfield, her Webinars That Convert course, and then Jeff Walker. And that's how I know you, Andrea.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I went to the first launch con. I saw a competition. I was like,
Uh-huh.
oh my gosh, there's 1,000 people here. There's 10 people up on the stage. They all want a mastermind to Durango, to Jeff Walker's secret headquarters. I was sitting in the audience going, I'm gonna join and I'm gonna be on that stage next year so I can go to
Yeah.
a mastermind. I ended up winning the whole competition the following year,
Yeah.
and became, an online marketer
Yeah.
and podcaster and all that stuff. So it is a very complicated, tangled web.
Uh-huh.
And that's why I love the name of your podcast, The Late Starters
Yeah.
Club, because, gone are the days where you just become a nurse or an accountant.
Right.
There's no reason to stay in a field, especially as life throws
Yeah.
different things your way.
Yeah, exactly. It's so rare, I think, these days to stay not only like, even in kind of your narrow space, a lot of times people are making big leaps. They realize something major changes or shifts, or obviously, a health thing that just turns your life upside down. And now all of a sudden you're turned into an advocate with a huge mission of turning autism around and reaching millions of people. I mean, you didn't go to school for that back when you were 20, you didn't
Nobody
you
did.
no, that's true. It's
I mean,
true. So
nobody went to school. I mean, maybe now they have programs on online marketing,
mhm,
but
mhm.
even if you go to school for marketing or business, you don't learn this stuff. You
Yeah,
don't not
yeah,
learn how to produce a podcast and how
yeah,
to do
right,
Facebook ads, and I
right,
mean, it's
right.
complicated and it keeps changing.
Yeah. And one of the things and so you guys, if you are not getting this, Mary is like the craziest self-starter you've ever seen, doing all this stuff like, and still caring for her family at the same time, which is amazing. So, that's one of the things that I find really amazing about you. How have you balanced that? Not that there is that balance word is such a fake word, but how have you managed getting your PhD while getting your message to the masses and still taking care of your family? Do you have some great tips for people who are doing some
Yeah.
of, struggling with
Well,
some of this?
I I over the years have paid a lot of money to people to help me because
Mhm.
my husband's a physician.
Mhm.
I have a master's degree in nursing, but when I had my kids back to back, I was a stay-at-home mom, and I
Mhm.
thought that I would go back and get a PhD in nursing and pick up on some of the research I was doing in the nursing field and present and that sort of
Mhm.
thing. So when autism came our way and I decided to become a behavior analyst, which took a lot of time, and then I decided to work in the field of ABA, and then I decided to write my book and eventually get my PhD. I mean, all of that with not just Lucas, but also Spencer, who was 18 months younger.
Mhm.
um, we decided to hire au pairs, which are
Mhm.
foreign nannies, one
Mhm.
at a time. And we had 6 of them back to back years. And then the last one pivoted, stayed as an international student, ended up like moving in with a boyfriend, but she was still like caring for us and, caring
Mhm.
for the
Mhm.
kids, mostly Lucas at that point. But
Mhm.
had I not hired help, like
Mhm.
serious help, not just like
Right.
a babysitter who,
Right.
that's the problem with hiring help, like
Mhm.
hiring childcare people is, I was tired of like getting somebody and then they'd be like, "Oh, my boyfriend's mom's car broke down, so I need to take
Yeah.
her." It's like nobody has
Mm,
like you as their top priority.
yeah.
That's why I had to go to other countries to fly them
Right.
in to be
Right.
like, "Okay, we're your number one priority." And we
Right.
also have a house with an in-law suite. Actually, this is one of the bedrooms I made into a
Mhm.
video studio. So
Mhm.
we were set up for that
Mhm.
pretty well.
Right.
And people say, "Oh, well, I don't have the money for an au pair or whatever." And it's surprisingly affordable if you have
Yeah.
the right conditions and
Mhm.
are okay with people. I mean, half
Living
the
with you,
world has
right?
a code to
Right?
get in my house, which is kind of
Yes.
scary. So
Yeah.
there are trade-offs.
Yeah, yep, yep. Well, and the other thing, just to kind of piggyback on that investing in help, you've also been such a great investor in your business, but your business has been, and I don't know if always been, but has been very profitable. And that's another thing that I think is an amazing focus is that even though you've got this big mission, you still have to charge money. People have to have this value exchange, and you have to have that profit center so that you can get your message out in a bigger way, so you can invest in the tools and the ideas and the people to help you with your business.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I am not the most techie person you're ever gonna
Mhm,
meet, and so I knew right away, if it was gonna rely on just me doing things, it
mhm,
was not gonna spread very fast, and I think that's
right,
one of the advantages of starting late is
mhm,
you don't have all the time in the world,
right,
and, you really need to focus on what you're good at. Plus, when I started my online business, I was also still working as a one-to-one consultant as a behavior analyst, and so I didn't drop that like a hot potato. I started, my business as I did the one-to-one coaching and then eventually a couple of years later dropped the one-to-one consulting locally.
mhm,
But I do have the advantage of being married to a physician. He's
mhm,
he's actually in administration now and he's been for many years. So in the beginning it was like, "Oh, Mary's dabbling."
mhm, mhm.
Um,
Yeah,
until I really started, building a video studio and,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know, uh, even though I had traveled internationally and wrote a really
right,
good book and,
right,
but still when you're starting something, it is
mhm,
good to have a spouse or a partner who is providing the
right,
insurance and providing a
mhm.
stable income. Like, we have a lot of friends where both both parties in the couple are working for the same business or both in the online space. And it does, I mean, that's definitely riskier.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and even the way you did it though, which was not quitting your day job, until you had that ramped up. There's this, I think that some people tend to say, "Well, burn the boats and go all in and, no plan B and things like that." But I think it's smart to just not put the pressure on that new business and have that steady income coming in from something you're already doing, build that on the side and make sure it's got some legs to take off and um, run by itself. If I'm mixing metaphors there, I think probably.
Yeah, yeah.
So
No, it all makes sense. And so,
yeah,
but I think, people like I've posted like people are very overwhelmed. Like, look into a live out or au pair, live
yeah,
out nanny, live in nanny, au pair. Like, well, Mary, not everybody can afford that. Blah blah blah. It's like,
right,
I think some of it is mindset.
yeah,
Like, if I wouldn't have explored options,
hmm,
um, and like I said, it's not just about the money. It's also about how are you with a new person coming into your home, living with you, using a car,
right,
like that you own and driving your kids around and it there are trade-offs, but it's kinda like that whole everything you can figure out. everything,
Right.
it's just a
Yeah.
journey and there's
Yeah.
choices. And you shouldn't put
Yeah.
anybody up on a pedestal and say, "Oh, well, that worked for Susie Q or that worked for Johnny because they're married to a doctor or no, it's just like we're all in the lifeboat trying to figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah, and exactly, and you started from nothing, and now you've got, you've got million downloads on your podcast, and you've got, like, tons of traffic to your website. So share with us a little bit of the decision making you go through with your online presence and your mission to get this message out to millions of people. How do you make decisions around what you're going to do with that online business and how you're going to get that message out?
Yeah, I think just hiring, the right people. Like
Hmm.
for years, I didn't have any full-time employees. I wasn't a full-time employee. I just did
Hmm.
contractors. And then at some point, after a really good launch, I was like,
Hmm.
and the right person came along, I was like, you know what? I can't really afford a full-time person. That's
Hmm.
scary, but
Hmm.
I'm just gonna do it scared. I'm just gonna
Hmm.
make the leap.
Yeah.
So I think, I started out way long time ago with just some woman who posted in some free group about Infusionsoft, and I'm like, "Somebody knows Infusionsoft, awesome." And she just charged, like, little bundles of 3 to 5 hours, but then when she
Uh-huh.
got fired from her other online entrepreneur job, she knew she was gonna not maybe not fired, but she knew she was gonna separate from that person,
Right.
and she was like, "I will have 20 hours a week." I couldn't really afford it, but I was just like, "Let's do it. Let's go."
Hmm.
And at the same time, she was like, "We can do a back to school sale. We
Right.
can, I'll help you kind of get some money so that you
Right.
can afford me." So right now,
Right.
I still only have one full-time employee and myself, I'm a full-time employee.
Mhm.
We have a couple, people that have worked with me for a long time who are
Mhm.
20, 30 hours a week people, and they're like full-time
Mhm.
employees, but they're working with others too.
Right, right. Yeah, no, that's such a great message too, because, those people are going to help make you money, right? And that's and you've kind of talked about that before with, I mean, the other thing about Mary, you guys, is she's this amazing resource of books and knowledge, and she's out there like consuming a bunch of ideas on ways to, market your business, market your podcast, get your books out there, all kinds of ways that she is looking to get out there. So what has been one of the biggest differences for you in, has it been the podcast? Has it been the videos? You do a lot of videos. Has it been your books? How your courses? What's been a big difference for you in reaching people?
Um, yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, I was really an early adopter of YouTube, of Facebook. I just got on TikTok last year and grew
Mhm.
from 0 to 62,000 within a year followers. But now TikTok's kind of plateaued for some
Mhm.
reason. Um, but YouTube, I have this nice plaque up there,
Yeah.
100,000 subscriber plaque. So that was like
Nice.
really cool. Um, and because initially, like starting in 2016, I started or 17, I started weekly video blogs, and
Mhm.
that was really good, and that still brings in a ton of traffic,
Mhm.
and a ton of people that find me and then, end up buying my course. I think another difference between me and a lot of other entrepreneurs is that a lot of other entrepreneurs are in this launch mode of, like, quarterly or every month, and they're like where I, from the start, um was like, people need me every day, all day long, all different time zones. I have people from over 100 countries who purchase my courses over the years. And so I have a very like during this podcast, there's probably gonna be a sale,
Mhm. Mhm.
and it's not going to cost me any more time.
Mhm.
And so that's been really good having that. I also created an accidental membership, back-end membership when we started, everybody's like, "Lifetime access, lifetime access." I'm like, "That's a bad idea." First of all, I don't know if I'm gonna like this, so I don't give anybody lifetime access to anything because I'm
Yeah,
like, I don't even know if I'm going to be able to do this or like it.
right. Yeah,
So right away, I was always like 60 or 90 days access, and that's it.
yeah,
Which led to then people wanted to stay, people wanted more. I'm like, okay, I'll create, project B, but you're gonna
yeah,
have to pay me, $30 a month, 297 a year to
yeah.
stay. And now that's
Mhm.
like a third of my business and it's on
Wow.
autopilot.
Yeah.
So I do think thinking more evergreen, thinking more recurring revenue, not, I don't have anything high end at this point, which has
Mhm.
always been a source of advice from our
Yeah.
fellow colleagues,
Yes. Yeah.
But to me, it's like, I don't just wanna work with a handful of rich people.
Mhm.
I want everybody to get it. So I do produce a lot of free content. I
Mhm.
do have my 2 books. My newest book, Turn Autism Around, an action guide for parents of young children with early signs of autism, because I I believe that the things in my Turn Autism Around book and in my toddler course, literally, I feel like if I had that information back in 1999, Lucas's life and my life would be completely different.
Mm.
And so I am super passionate about that. Not that
Mm.
I can't help 6-year-olds or 16-year-olds
Mhm.
too. I
Mhm.
can. I have a school age course, but the
Mhm.
most change we can make is as early as possible at the first
Right.
signs. Um, so that's really my passion and
Yeah.
I sell courses every day.
Yeah, yeah. That's great, and I think that's huge too, because I think, sometimes people get into that mindset around, like, we have to launch or they hear a method and you can do your own thing and make your own decisions around that, and then just figure out how to make that work and how to offer different things, and I like that you've got lots of different ways to people to plug in at different price points, because I think that's pretty important. So, yeah, awesome. So, I mean, you've obviously done so much with, in this time frame of, between starting everything online till now. uh, what have you done if when you felt overwhelmed? How have you gotten through that and pushed through that? And have there been kind of real dark nights of the soul times that you've had to deal with?
One thing I'm really good at is sleeping, and
Mm,
I don't get completely stressed out,
mm,
um, usually. So I also like to keep things as even keel as possible. I don't like a lot of stress and chaos in my life. So, I mean, basically, you know, I just remind myself, like, if things are going, badly for whatever
mhm,
reason, I just remind myself, like, no one's dying. I'm not going to, lose my house. I'm not going
mhm,
to, like, it's not that bad because I'm not this huge risk taker.
mm,
Um,
mhm.
so it's not that up and down, you know?
Right, right, right.
It's a little up and then I'm like, "Oh, this is stressful." But, you know, over the past couple of years, I mean, COVID hit, I was all on evergreen. I had this great product and I was writing my second book. I had gotten the contract like in the fall of 2019. So it was really perfect timing. And I
Mhm,
had what everybody needed. And so my business like doubled
mm,
and in 2021, it was even better. But
mhm,
last year and this year, you know, it is, well, Andrea, it's
mhm.
harder to get people to find you. There's so much
Yep.
content out there, so much free content, so much
Mhm.
confusion that, you know, I think we just have to not kill ourselves to, we just need to find different ways. But, my whole evergreen system, I mean, it's still working. It's still fueling
Mm.
the fire. But now I have done a couple of things that I was pretty much like in our mastermind group and our group
Mhm.
coaching, like everybody makes fun of me because I'm like watching reality TV show while I'm making money. But like, in the past year, I have built a software app. Well, I
Mhm.
personally didn't, but I paid for it.
Right.
I created the school age course because the toddler
Mhm.
course was so successful and it was such a
Mhm.
mess for people with kids over 6. So I created
Mhm.
something really good with that. I created a new train the trainer program that I've been thinking
Mm.
about for 4 years to train others to do high quality work
Mhm.
using my approach. And now I'm getting ready to do a coaching week, challenge week, paid product. So,
Uh-huh.
um, that's a lot of new things for me.
Yeah.
Like, it's probably a lot of new things for a lot of people, but,
Yeah.
like, that's a lot.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
you know
Well, you talked about not being a big risk taker, but I think you definitely take calculated risks.
yeah,
You listen to your people, you created that whole quiz, you've got, you're getting feedback back from people that is kind of informing your decisions. And, back when I met you years ago, the first time at Launch Club, I remember you had never run a Facebook ad before. And now you're like spending tons of money monthly, but also in a very calculated way where got you have all the tracking in place to calculate the ROI on your Facebook and Google ads, and you're
mhm,
really dialed into your reporting system. So I think, while it might look to someone on the outside that you're, you know, launching all this stuff, it's all very calculated and very thoughtful, I think. And so,
yeah.
yeah.
I know you're a very big wig in the advertising space, and a lot of people are like, "Mary, why do you advertise? I mean, you've got, 1,000,000 downloads on your podcast. I have 8,000,000 views on my
Mm.
YouTube videos. I
Mhm.
have, you know, SEO. But like still there are 1 in 36 kids have autism,
Yeah.
we have to I have to get the word out, like,
Yeah.
and so if that means investing, which I do every single month for years and years, 8 years, um, then that's what I have to do, and
Mhm.
hopefully the return on ad spend is profitable, and, even if it's not, if it's a little bit lower than 1, it's still okay
Right,
because, you
right,
know
because they're on your list, they're gonna
Yeah,
hopefully eventually buy something later,
yeah,
there'll be people who buy multiple things, so
and
it'll
there's
all.
not a whole lot of competition in the autism
Mhm.
space, on the online marketing space,
Mhm.
um, so it's not like, "Oh, buy Mary's course," or, "Here's another 3 courses that are
Yeah.
anything close to it." I mean,
Yeah.
people are trying, but I feel like I've been such an early adopter to things,
Mhm.
not really by choice. It's not like I
Yeah.
was like, "Oh, let me become an online marketer." Just kinda like,
Yeah.
"Okay, guess
Yeah.
gotta do this."
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, you're doing amazing work in the world, and I'm just really I love that I get to hear all the amazing work you do, plus the masterful way you do it with your marketing. And I get to connect with you at Launch Club with that, so it's wonderful. And thank you so much for being a guest here and sharing your wisdom. I always like to close out with people's favorite quote or inspirational saying. I'm such a quote junkie that I always love hearing what motivates others.
So I have 2, so can I give you 2?
Yes, two is good.
One of them is, actually, I'll give you 3.
Oh,
Okay.
wow, bonus.
Dress for the job you want, not the job you have.
Uh-huh.
That's one. Um, choose the hills you will die on carefully.
Mhm.
And the third one is better done than perfect. I am not a perfectionist, thank God. And so I think, I've heard people talk about, B minus work, B plus work. Um, people need your work, so get
Yeah.
out there. I heard James Wedmore say this once, is like, you know, your people are out there drowning and they need your work and they don't have time for you to build a yacht. So you get
Yeah.
into the rickety rowboat and go out there. They will be so happy to see you. And so let's go all get in our rowboats and go get them.
So true. Such a good message in online marketing and parenting, both, I think.
Yeah.
So thank you, Mary. Just share, we'll have all the links, but share where people can find you. Mary
Yeah.
Barbera. Yeah.
MaryBarbera.com,
Uh-huh.
or if you're out running or can't remember how to spell my name or anything like that, anybody that has any delays, autism, um, signs of autism, you can always search Mary Autism plus whatever topic you're struggling with. I talk about talking, tantrums, eating, picky eating, problem sleeping, toilet training. Been called the potty queen.
Yeah.
And all of these techniques work for typically developing kids as well. So Mary
Mhm.
Autism plus whatever topic you're struggling with. And I probably have a free video blog or something to get you started.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you for being here, and thanks everyone for tuning in.
Yeah, thank you.
Mhm.